Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold Knucklehead Podcast. As always, riding shotgun. It's my man Reggie. What's going on today, Reg?
Kenny. What's up, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. Considering the season that the Commanders are having, I'm not skipping around, high as a kite type thing. But hey, there's more to life than football. But we're not here to talk about anything but football for the most part right now.
This is true.
But yeah, we got to witness another challenging game from a Commander's perspective this weekend.
Whereas the young kids like to say, we witnessed BTA. BTA.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Yeah. I'm going to guess beating that ass.
No, it's belt to ass.
What? Oh, belt to ass. Okay.
Belt to ass.
It could go either way with that, right?
Yeah, they can.
Yes,
it happened either way.
Yeah, and the Commanders weren't the belt in this scenario, right?
This is man. This is and we were there. We got to witness it.
Yeah,
live and in living color.
Yeah.
And speaking of color, there was a lot of that Hawaiian blue, as they like to call it, throughout the stadium, throughout the parking lots, throughout the concourse, throughout the stadium.
I mean, in the tailgating,
they were there.
There was a huge crowd right where we were, by the 405. I'm sorry, 504. Yeah. The 405 crew. Who else is? What's the command center? What is the Sheik?
Command corner.
Okay, I want to give everybody credit. Eddie was there. Juan was there. The normal crew who hosts us and takes good care of us when we come in town. And right, I mean, it's a good group of Commanders fans. They're there, but right where they stop, that's where the Lions set up, and man, they were out, weren't they, Reg?
They were out there, man, and hey, it's all good, man. That it was good for them to be there. The problem was that was going to be the highlight of the day because Commander fans knew going into this game that this was going to not be a good scenario for us. I mean, we were coming in truly undermanned. I mean, you could essentially say Detroit was almost playing our preseason team.
Yes,
with the exception of a few starters sprinkled in there, but it was expected to be bad. And as the ball kicked off, it was bad. Washington comes out. You can clearly see that they're trying to do things to start fast. So the last couple of games, they've chosen to get the ball first. And in the game on the Sunday evening, they got the ball first. And as this season has gone, they went 3 and out. Punted the ball. Detroit gets the ball and drive down the field and gets 7. And they never let up from there. Detroit did not punt the ball one time. They scored on every single possession.
Correct. I will say it was better than last week. Last week they had Seattle had 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. This was only 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal. So there is improvement.
You're saying first half.
First half.
Yes.
Okay. First half. Yes. So we allowed them to score a field goal instead of that 4th time, and it was literally the 4th time. We held them to a field goal instead of a touchdown. So please recognize that is total sarcasm. If you don't, I know some people have trouble picking up on sarcasm, but yeah, it was rough. And right off the bat, when the Commanders had the ball, and I'm not going to shortchange. I'm drawing a blank. Kingsbury on his game plan at all, but a lot of times they go in with scripted plays. It seems like for whatever reason, teams are dedicated to 10, 12, however many scripted plays. Well, I don't know that that's necessarily going to work depending on the defense that's out there. And maybe there's variation, right? You get up to the line, he can check and do everything. But right off the bat, the first 3 downs, you hear about 8 in the box, 9 in the box. They literally had 10 in the box. Right? They had all 10 players within 3 to 5 yards at the most, with one safety out there in center field, just daring them to pass it. They knew that we wanted to start, try to get a run game established, but they were just daring us to pass it, and 3 and out, and it was downhill from there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they got the ball again, scored, never looked back, and Washington didn't give them any reason to make any adjustments defensively. We ultimately lost the game. That is now our 5th consecutive loss in a row. What's disheartening is it is the fourth consecutive loss in a row by losing by 21 or more points in a game. That is so essentially a month, but that is the first time in 23 years, I think, the last time an NFL team has allowed or lost by 21 or more points in 4 consecutive games. So by NFL standard, this is pretty bad. And
it is bad. Yes.
I think the part for me that is a little disheartening is there's no solution. There's no short-term solution. Granted, we recognize that injuries, you and I talked about this. I know everyone wants to say the NFL, you're going to get injuries. Everyone is injured and those things. So I'm not making excuses. But at the same time, if you're going to speak about this season and have some context to it, you have to recognize that they are injured. They're playing 3rd, 4th, and in some case 5th string guys throughout the team.
Right.
And yet here we are, what seems like every single game we lose a guy. And yesterday's game was no different. Trey Amos left the game with a broken fibula. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but I feel like he's going to be out for a while. He's going to at least miss some significant time.
Right.
And so here we are. You've lost now your 2 starting corners,
right.
One to an ACL and one to a broken fibula. And again, you can't tell the story of this season without talking about the injuries, but at the same time, there's no short-term solution. So one thing that they've done, they brought Joe Witt from the booth to the sideline. That lasted for 1 game. It didn't change anything. I don't know many people who thought that it would change anything, but it didn't. And now, as of today, Dan Quinn mentions in his press conference that he is now going to take over play calling duties on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like these are things he has to do, but I don't know that it's going to make a bit of difference. Call me skeptical.
Right.
Maybe there is, but
you're okay with this. I'm just asking.
Sure. I mean, what it can't hurt.
Right.
I do think this is just, again, these are baby steps to what is eventually going to happen, which is Joe Witt is going to lose his job. So taking over play calling duties, I guess. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do differently than what Joe Witt was already doing. Because to me, if whatever you're going to do, you could have that input in meetings with Joe Witt and the defensive staff and let Joe continue to be the D coordinator. But you're going to take over the duties, and I think that's just to kind of satisfy some people. But I don't know what is ultimately going to improve. He mentioned that Joe Witt will be in the booth, giving some views and some comments, some commentary, and some oversight from the booth. But Dan Quinn is going to ultimately call the plays. I think they're just throwing darts at the board at this point, Ken, personally. The defense is bad.
Sure.
Injuries has depleted them to a point that is unbelievable, that they've lost everybody. And these aren't just small injuries. Many of them are 6, 8, and in some cases, season-ending injuries. And that's why I say there's nothing they can do to improve. I think they're just trying different things, but it's not going to change anything.
Correct. I mean, we've seen different years, and you see it in different teams in the NFL where they all of a sudden have a bunch of people that are injured, but they're not season-ending injuries, right? It'll be week 4, and a lot of their players are out 3 to 4 weeks, and they're trying to, if they've got a handful of players that are out for 4 weeks, they're like, man, if we can go 2-2, we're good, because then we're going to be good again. We'll be right again when we get all our players back. Washington players aren't coming back. Most of these injuries, if you're on the injury list right now, you're pretty much gone for the season. Jaden might come back, he might not come back. But all the defensive linemen that have been injured, the cornerbacks that have been injured, obviously the running back that's been injured. I mean, they're done. And going back to Dan Quinn, I agree. I don't know that this is going to make any kind of dramatic change. Could we be a little bit better? Maybe. I don't know. But what I do like as a fan is, to your point, they are limited on what they can do, right? There's not good players sitting at home watching TV saying, man, just give me a call, man. I'll be better. You'll be better when I get there. But they got to do something. Unfortunately, this is about as big or dramatic of something that they can do at this point of the season with the players that are out there that are available. So I think you and I talked while we're in DC that, I don't know if Dan Quinn sits there and sees, 28 and 24 points and a half and says, man, why were we running that play? I'm sorry. Why are we running that defensive package? Why are we doing this right now? When you're successful, you don't care what it is. When you keep getting burned, or people are out of place, or it's an obvious run and you're in a nickel, these kinds of things. And obviously Dan Quinn isn't going to speak up, but I can appreciate that Dan Quinn is taking the reins and trying to mix something up. If it makes us 10% better by him playing the being the DC, I'm 100% fine with that, because we are so bad that 10% will feel like a dramatic improvement.
Look, man, I've always said, not just from my team perspective, but just in life, I don't believe in making changes just for the sake of making changes. To me, make the change if it makes sense. And we just talked about how the injuries depleted the team so bad that it's not gonna. No one's coming to help. So you got to play with your practice squad guys who are your third, fourth, and fifth string guys. If I give you a bag of rocks, Ken, and say build a house, and you fail to build me a house, giving it to another guy ain't gonna all of a sudden possibly build me a house. You're trying to build a house. You're trying to build a house with a bag of rocks, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, and name any defensive coordinator in the history of the NFL that's been good that can come in and do something with a team that's depleted by injuries. So to me, this is just a move to satisfy probably the noise that they know they're hearing either from the fan base and the questions by the media that they're getting at the press conference. Dan Quinn on the sideline is not going to do anything. He's not going to, yeah, the guys might tackle a little bit better. They maybe not miss a couple assignments, but man to man, when we line up against the offenses that we're facing this year, they're just better. They're just better. Their wide receivers are just going to be better than our second and third and fourth corner. Our defensive line, right? Defensive line. We lost our top three defense edge rushers. They're gone. Season-ending injuries. Your interior line, then you get Deron Payne, supposed to be a captain of the team, a leader of the defense, gets ejected during the game. And guess what? He's suspended. He's not even going to go to the Spain game. So it doesn't matter who's calling the plays. You can put him in the booth. You can put him on the sideline. You can put him on the field, hell, and dress him up as a referee. It's not going to matter. There's nobody. There's nobody to do it.
I got to disagree. Right?
Okay, let me hear
it. And the reason why I'm going to disagree is, there's a reason why Dan Quinn is taking this over, right? And I don't think it's just to quiet the noise outside. He doesn't like what he sees.
It took you 10 weeks to see that, though? Come on, man.
I'm just saying, hey, you can criticize him for it, but at this point, he thinks, it could be either he doesn't like what Joe Witt is doing, the plays that he's calling, the way he's getting through or not getting through to these players on mistakes that they're making. And potentially Dan Quinn may think that, hey, I don't have a top 10 defense. I'm not even thinking anything like that. But we're not the 32nd defense either, even with the staff we have. And so if he thinks that,
even with the staff or the players,
I'm sorry, the players, even with the players that we have, if he thinks the staff isn't, he may look at it and go, you know what, we're the 25th, right? There's 5 or 6 teams that have much worse players than we are, and Joe Witt and staff are not getting the most out of these players. And if I come in and take control and do this, I think I can make us a little bit better. And you have to be better. The goal is not only to win the game, but it's to be better. And by being better, from an offensive perspective, we put up 22. We should have put 24 points because we went for 2 points. But putting up 24 points in a game, you should be in the game. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but you should be in the game. It should be, 3 points, 7 points, maybe even 10 points. It shouldn't be 20 points. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can win with 24 points. You can't win with giving up 24 to 28 per half for 6 halves now.
Okay. Right? You make an argument, and I think in a perfect world that Dan Quinn taking over a shorthanded defense would show some improvement. I just don't think it's going to matter. The team is
might not matter enough.
The team is injured.
They can play better.
Ken, we don't stop anybody. I think Detroit scored on every single possession. And then last week, Seattle scored on, I think, almost every single possession.
I don't disagree.
And if you go back to the Kansas City game, the second half, so you've practically gone 2.5 games where the offense has scored on almost every single possession. And guess what? And since those games, we've got more injuries. And you think just because Dan Quinn is going to be calling the voice in the ear of Bobby Wagner is going to make a difference? I don't think so.
I don't know how much of a difference. Do I think we can? I don't have any doubt that we can be better. Better doesn't mean we're going to win.
So for the sake of the argument, you can say, so instead of losing by 25, we're going to lose by 20, and that's an improvement. I mean,
look, come on, man. I'm just talking about playing better. It's talking about getting stops. I mean, to your point, we haven't gotten a stop or 1 or 2 stops in 6 quarters. I don't know how many possessions that is, right? You're talking what, 8 or 10? So you're talking 10 this game, 10 the previous game, and 5 the game. We've had 2 stops in 25 possessions. I mean, that's not acceptable. So if I can, out of 25 possessions, if I can get 10 stops, that might not be enough.
They're not going to get 10 stops, Mika. That's cool. That's cool. We'll see. Listen,
we will see.
Okay.
But to sit there and do nothing and accept it is totally unacceptable. We
disagree on this, but I will say I will hope.
So what's your solution, Reg? Right now, what is your solution?
I just told you there is no solution
to make it better.
There is no solution.
But I'm coming to you for the answer. So your answer is going to be nothing?
I'm telling you what I picked, what I sense from Dan Quinn. He don't have an answer. He's got to stand there every week in a press conference.
It's not acceptable to do nothing.
So you want to do it just for the sake of doing it and just throwing darts?
No, I do it with a plan. You have a plan of what you see is wrong and you try to address it. I'm not saying it's going to get done.
Well, then you should have implemented these plans weeks ago then. Because the defense didn't just get bad, Ken. They didn't just get bad. So then you should have felt this way weeks ago. Whatever changes.
That's fair. No. But at some point, there's a sickness. And you don't say, I'm not going to go to the doctor. You don't say, I'm not going to take radiation. I'm not going to take this medicine. I'm not going to do what it takes to get better. I might not get better. I might die. but I'm going to take my medicine. I'm going to do my physical therapy. I'm going to do my radiation. I'm going to do my chemo. I'm going to do whatever it takes to try to do it.
Okay.
And
I'll
right
give you
now,
this.
this defense is a cancer, and they need to do something.
I will give you this. Yes, you need to do something to change whatever is happening. Where I disagree is I don't think the changes that they're showing you is going to be the fix. Bringing Joe Witt from the booth to the sideline wasn't going to fix it. Making Dan Quinn now the play caller for the same defense ain't going to fix it. I would agree that you got to do something, and you have to keep doing something. Where I'm disagreeing with you and a lot of people on, I think these are just fictitious type changes. They're empty.
And they could be.
They're not going to fix what is ailing the defense. So do they need to do something? Absolutely. But it probably needs to take place in the locker room. It probably needs to take place on the field. But changing the guy that's the voice in the mic ain't going to solve it. That's where I disagree with.
And again, I'm not saying it is, but to do nothing, if they're not going to do nothing, just tell me and I can stop watching. Right? From the offensive perspective, if you're not doing something, let me know. And I can turn off the TV, right?
You better turn it off then.
And to me, I think this coaching staff, they're not idiots. They know the challenges that are in front of them, but I honestly think that they believe that they should be playing better.
We all do, Ken.
Okay, and so what are you going to do? Nothing is not going to make anything better. You have to do something.
I'm gonna say it again.
Whether it's to bring in the young rookie who's only played, let Ben Sinnott, let him start. I don't care.
I will say it again until I turn white in the face. I didn't say they shouldn't do any changes. What I'm saying is the changes that they're letting us know, which in this case has been 2. Bring the coach from the booth to the sideline, and now one is taking over the play caller. That's not going to fix it. That's what I'm disagreeing with. I'm not disagreeing that they shouldn't do something. Absolutely. You need to keep trying something. I just don't think these are the changes.
That doesn't mean that these are the only changes they're going to be making.
But that's the only ones we know about.
But
so that's what we're talking about. Nope, that's what we're talking about though now.
But the style that I know everybody thinks that whatever Joe Witt does, Dan Quinn is going to do. Whatever Dan Quinn is going to do, Joe Witt does. And I don't necessarily think that's true, right? You have to keep evaluating your team because we're not the same team offensively or defensively that we were week 1. So if you're still playing the same defense, whether you're playing more aggressive, or you're playing more conservative, whether you're attacking, whether you're just trying to hold them, and not give up anything big, all those things change based off of the teams that you're playing, the staff that you are, what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And I think part of it is that Joe Witt does not have a good feel for what needs to be done with this dramatically lesser talent than what we started the season with.
Then I will say again, then it shouldn't take you 10 weeks to know this.
We don't know all the changes and things that were done up to this point. We're not in the coach's room where they're bringing these people in. They're trying to do, all of a sudden they're doing nothing but, they're not doing any man coverage. They're only doing zone, or they do this. They put more in the box. They, rushing 4. Should we rush more?
You and I could run routes on this defense. You and I could be the running back on this defense, man. Everybody's open. Holes are gaped wide open, and we're playing. It's 3rd and 2, and our guys are backpedaling instead of playing press against the man. We're not at the line of scrimmage. We're not down to knock guys off.
What are the coaches telling them to do? What are the coaches telling them to do, Reg?
Then that's a problem, Ken. And again,
I don't disagree.
And they've been doing this for weeks. It'd be different if they did it just this game. And you say, well, then they lost this game because of the style of defense they played on this game. But this has been the same thing that we have seen for the last probably 6 weeks at least, where the guys are playing off, they're giving up first downs, whatever the case. And you can't tell me if the coaching staff has been trying to fix the defense that they don't see this on film and that they've not tried to make the adjustments. I refuse to believe it. So if that's the case, then what are you going to do next week and the week after that you haven't tried 6 weeks ago? You can't tell me Dan Quinn hadn't seen it and had a conversation with Joe Witt about it.
I can't sit there and tell you what they have and haven't done. I mean, if anything, what they're doing, whatever adjustments they've made over the last 4 weeks, they need to pause and say, we're going to do the opposite of those because the defense keeps getting worse. I know we've had more injuries, which only makes it more challenging. And again, I'm not here to say that the defense is going to be better. I just think, like I said, whether there's some young talent that you bring in and you go, you know what, we're just going to stink, but we need this young talent to play, right? We're going to give up 40 every game.
And if they did that, I would be more okay with what they're going to do this week starting forward. If they said we're going to start changing out some personnel and give some other guys some chances, then telling me that you're just going to bring the coach to the field and we're going to just change the guy who's calling the play. But if you told me that, hey, well, as of today, we didn't have another game and he didn't have at least one press conference and nothing was mentioned. They asked the questions about doing things differently. And what he said was he's taking over play calling. But if you told me we're going to give some other guys some chances, now I'll buy that. That's a change I can get behind. But given who's got the headset, nah, I'm not buying that. But you give some guys some opportunities to play and maybe some guys that are hungry, that wants to be able to play, who wants to get out there and take advantage of their opportunity. Maybe that'll be the spark that you need. But you keep trotting out the same guys and some guys that are now healthy because they're coming from the practice squad. Nothing's going to change.
There's no way that any two people are going to call the exact same defense. Doesn't mean it's going to be better results, but Dan Quinn may be more aggressive. He may be more conservative. He will be different. And you know what?
Say this again.
We might give up 50 points.
This is one I hope that I'm wrong on. I will have no problem saying, Ken, you were right, man. I want to be wrong on this.
And let me be clear. I don't expect our 32nd defense to all of a sudden be 15th, 18th. I'm happy if we go from 32nd to 25th at this point. Right. But I will say a lot of times when you look at stats and you look at defenses, the 32, 32nd, 31st, there's such a dramatic difference between the 32nd team and the 25th team. It sounds like it's not a lot, but when you go look at the numbers, it is dramatically different. I mean, look, Washington, how many times does a team give up over 200 yards rushing and over 300 yards receiving? Right? They did nothing. They did nothing well defensively for the last couple weeks.
Well, guess what? They gave up over 500 yards of offense yesterday.
Well, that's what I said. When does a team give up over 200 yards rushing and over 300 yards passing? A lot of times you'll have maybe 100 yards, 125 rushing and 325 or 375 passing. But a 200, 300 day, that's rare in the NFL. Very, very rare.
Well, it's felt like we've been giving up 200-300 for the past few weeks.
We have for the last few weeks. We probably are in that ballpark. Definitely from a points perspective. If I want to pull some positives out of this, and I know it's a challenge, right? Mariota didn't have a bad game.
No turnovers.
What's that?
No turnovers.
No turnovers. He was 16 of 21 or 22, 72% completion percentage. The offense wasn't necessarily as productive as we want, but it was run smoothly. When you see the defense, there's a couple times where the defense had to call timeout just because they're barking back at each other and don't even know what play they are, where they need to be set up.
Washington defense.
Is that what I just say?
No, you just said defense. I'm clarifying. It was Washington's defense.
Washington's defense was out of sync and didn't know what they were doing numerous times throughout the game. They used a couple timeouts because of it. The offense was running smoothly. Yes, we would like our running game to be a little bit better, but we ran the ball 27 times. We've been asking for the run, just short of 100 yards, but we're working towards the running game, and building that up. Mariota didn't take off scrambling very much. I was concerned they were going to try to use him like they did the first time that he was playing, and he was, like a second or third running back out on the field, and they didn't do that. So there was, from an offensive perspective, there's got to be a couple points on a couple drives where there was some level of rhythm in the first half and the second half. It wasn't just like the very last play or the very last drive with a minute and a half to go and Detroit didn't care. Yes, Detroit had a big lead, don't get me wrong, but they were still playing. They weren't like in a prevent defense type of thing.
Yeah, and I will say that it was good to see elements of our offense that we expected to see. We saw the ball spread around, multiple people caught the ball. We even saw them going downfield. He went to Robbie Chosen, which I will stand by that was a defensive pass interference that was not called. He had a big play to Zach Ertz, big play to Debo, Traylon Burks, right, the former first-round pick, which, by the way, I've seen enough from that kid. I think that he needs to be on the team, come back next year. But there was elements of our offense.
Jalen Lane caught.
Jalen Lane had a big pass. So there were some big plays.
Yes.
In the game that has been missing from our offense for the past few weeks. So yeah, there was some positives there. But again, with the defense not being able to get any stops, it was an uphill battle. They were never to be able to come back in that game just simply because once they scored, gave it to Detroit, and Detroit was just going to go down and get those 7 points back. And that's what we saw. But it's interesting that it's probably an unpopular opinion. And I know this is not to be said as a hot take because there's a lot more variables to go into, but the offense has looked better, as you and I talked about, with Mariota running it than it has with Jayden this season. Now, Jayden's been in and out of the lineup.
Right.
You could even make the argument that Marcus has had some repetition with some of the wide receivers that he's throwing to, simply because those aren't the starters, your traditional starters, with Terry and Noah being out of the game. But the offense seems to flow a little bit better. That's not for me to say that I'd rather have Marcus over Jayden or that Marcus is a better quarterback than Jayden Daniels. What I'm simply saying is the offense has seemed to flow a little bit better when Marcus has been in, and whether that is Marcus taking what the defense has given, because we know Jayden has been looking to try to put on the Superman cape a few times instead of taking the check down or maybe the 5-yard pass. He's trying to go down the field. Marcus is making that, and that may be just enough to move the chains. But yesterday was no different. It started off bad with a 3-and-out, but after that, the offense kind of got going a little bit, and there were some big plays. It literally gave us something to cheer about there in the stadium, because it wasn't much, but there were some times we were actually cheering, and it was good to finally do that.
Yeah, it's a shame that that your offense starts moving the ball when you're down 14-0, right? Yeah. And even if you go down and you score, you're like, okay, maybe we can come back, and then they score again, and then you move the ball, and you're like, geez, it makes it challenging to cheer. And I'm cheering, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going wild and crazy because we're down 14, we're down 21, we're down, and you see the defense can't even stop it. Like, just give me one stop, defense. Give me one stop, because then if you give me one stop and we score, even a field goal, I'm like, okay, maybe we can do this a couple times, maybe we can do this a couple times and all of a sudden make it a game. But the defense clearly is it's barely an NFL defense. The last 6 halves.
I know it, man, and I'm not gonna get on it again, but I don't see it getting any better. But it is what it is, man. Yeah. So at this point, we just need to be happy that we don't get any more injuries. Because again, we're getting ready to take this show on the road.
Yep.
And I'm using show in some air quotes here because there ain't much to see. But this show is now about to go on the road internationally. It's not the game and the matchup I think the NFL had anticipated when they put this on the schedule to be in Madrid this coming Sunday. You're going to be without some of your stars, obviously, from the Washington side of the thing, and the game may not be as competitive as I think they thought it's going to be, because Miami is not very good, and we certainly aren't very good. And maybe it ends up being a shootout. Hell, I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, Miami put it on Buffalo this past week. So
yeah, just what we need. They're getting better as we're getting ready to.
Didn't they have some coaching changes?
Not that I'm aware of, but they made some trades. Meaning, and they traded away players.
Yeah, I thought they made a offensive or defensive coordinator change.
They may have. I'm just not familiar with it.
Yeah, funny how that worked out. Funny how that worked out for them. But it's not going to work out for us, according to Reggie. So,
well, you don't know that they made changes. What are you talking about?
I believe they did. Somebody can hold me accountable to that.
So you're talking trash on them? You believe? You know.
All right, keep on talking. I'm going to look it up.
Oh man. Anyway, it looks bad. They're about to take this show on the road to Madrid in front of those Spanish people down there, man. They're about to see some ugly football, I think. So it is what it is, man. I'm still going to rep it. I'm still going to support and be there. But yeah, I just think that at this point, the season is pretty much a wrap, in my opinion. And that's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're sitting at number 8 in the draft, and just pulled up real quick. They did fire their GM. I'm looking at. I don't have time to. I'm trying to scramble through here for.
I think that was it.
Coaching changes.
I think that was the fire that they made. Now that you mention it.
But I forgot where I was at then. The point that you just made.
No, I was just saying I think the season is over. It's a wrap at this point.
Oh yeah. We're sitting at number 8 right now. I think when we talked about it before, I think the most that we foresee the possibility of winning is 2 more games based on the competition that we're playing and how we're playing. Miami game this week is one of them.
That was one of the ones.
This is one of the 2 that we thought we might, and the other one is against the Giants, who just fired their head coach.
Hey, let's see if we were right. Let's see if we were right about this Miami.
But I will say, if we end up with 5 wins, in last year's draft, the worst you did, because there's multiple teams with 5 wins, the worst you did from a draft pick perspective was number 10. And if you'd have told me at the beginning of the season that we were going to be a top 10 pick, I would have had trouble believing you. I would have said, look at the crystal ball and tell me a whole lot. Tell me everything that went wrong.
I'm not a gambling man, but I would have bet you that there's no way. So in other words, I would have probably lost money because I would have bet without even questioning. I'd have said you're out of your mind, and I would have bet you there's no way we're going to be picking top 10.
Yeah,
outside of a trade.
Right. And if we only win 1 more game with 4, that puts you top 6.
Let's go, baby.
Based on last year.
I'm going for top 5, man. I'm going all the way to the top. Let's go.
You're going 0 then, huh?
Let's go top 5, man.
Yeah. You're definitely top 5 if we don't win another game this year.
We need difference makers. And all of the few picks we got, I think 5 or 6 that we're gonna get, they're all gonna be top of the round. Hey, let's go top 5, baby.
Well, I know we're getting way ahead of the skis here, but if we are a top 5 or 6 pick, I'm going to tell you right now, find somebody that needs a quarterback and wants to trade up with you, get a handful of picks, move back and rebuild. So
Let's do it.
Got anything else on this game, Reg?
That's it, man. That's it. It was ugly. We saw it live. It didn't feel any better. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be back. We'll give you some inputs on some of the other upcoming games here, and of course, we go to Miami. Everybody knows that'll be the early morning game on Sunday in Madrid.
Yes. Get up early. Set your clocks. It's going to be, I think, 7:30 Eastern, roughly 8:30 Central.
No, 9:30 Eastern.
9:30.
8:30.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, you're right. 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time. So, get up, eat breakfast. Do a family get together and do a brunch breakfast as you sit there and you watch the game. I don't know, whatever.
Negative. All right, y'all.
All right.
Until next time. Peace out.
Peace out, knuckleheads.